Welcome to Furniture Industry News. Today is March 17th, 2026. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me to stay up to speed on what's happening across the furniture industry. We're going to start today with artificial intelligence, because it's no longer just a buzzword. It's quickly becoming part of the day-to-day operations across manufacturing, retail, logistics, and even product development. Let's begin on the manufacturing side, specifically upholstery. Upholstery producers are finding some very practical uses for AI, especially in areas where complexity has always slowed things down. Think about how many options exist in a single upholstery frame. Different cushions, depths, fabrics, legs, configurations. It can get overwhelming fast. Companies like Universal Furniture are now using AI to digitally sample those designs before anything gets built. So instead of cutting foam and sewing covers right away, they're testing configurations virtually, adjusting dimensions, experimenting with options, and seeing what works. The result is a shorter development cycle and less waste. What's interesting here is that no one is talking about replacing craftsmanship. Upholstery is still a hands-on artisan process, but even small improvements in planning and scheduling can reduce rework and save money. Other manufacturers are taking a similar approach. Rockhouse Designer Brands is using AI for trend research and product visualization. Facet is applying it to sales data and upholstery specifications. The common thread is pretty clear. AI is helping teams make better decisions faster, not replacing the work itself. There's also growing interest in production planning. Scheduling, capacity balancing, and even fabric optimization are areas where AI can make a real impact. Even small improvements in material usage or workflow can have meaningful effects on margins. Now, shifting over to retail, this is where things start to get a little more visible. Retailers are moving beyond just experimenting with AI and starting to implement it in more structured ways. Furnitureland South, for example, recently completed a 2-month audit to identify where AI could create early wins across sales, service, marketing, and logistics. One of the early benefits they've seen is in room design. Sales teams can now build full room proposals almost instantly by feeding AI a few inputs: style, color, brands, availability, and getting back complete concepts at different price points. That's a big time saver, especially for design consultants who used to spend hours piecing those together. Other retailers are leaning heavily into visualization tools. AI-powered room planners and three-dimensional modeling are helping customers see products in their own space before they buy. That's happening both online and in-store, and it's improving confidence in the purchase. But it's not all smooth sailing. Some retailers are finding that AI-generated code can still create problems, especially when it conflicts with existing systems. And simply adding a chatbot doesn't guarantee engagement. How you present and integrate it really matters. Overall, though, the mindset is consistent. AI is being used to support employees, not replace them. The goal is to free up time, improve efficiency, and create a better customer experience. Now, let's talk about bedding, because AI is already showing up directly in the product itself. Sleep Number's smart beds are using AI to adjust firmness in real time based on biometric data. Tempur Sealy is doing something similar with its sleep tracker platform, which delivers personalized sleep insights and even responds to things like snoring automatically. These systems are built on massive data sets, hundreds of millions of nights of sleep, and they're continuing to evolve. Behind the scenes, bedding manufacturers are also using AI in more traditional ways. It's helping with market analysis, product development, and marketing strategy. Some companies describe it as having a built-in data analyst or even a brainstorming partner. Retail training is another area where AI is gaining traction. Tools are being developed to give sales associates real-time guidance, helping them match customers with the right products more effectively. But again, there's a clear line being drawn. AI can support the process, but it can't replace the human side of selling. Now, let's move into logistics, because AI is starting to reshape that part of the industry as well. Transportation companies are using AI to optimize routes, improve equipment utilization, and better schedule maintenance. That alone can save time and money, but the bigger impact might be on visibility. AI is helping carriers provide real-time shipment tracking, predictive forecasting, and more responsive customer service. Some companies are already using AI agents for after-hours support, with plans to expand into full-time service coverage. There are also opportunities on the administrative side. Billing, document processing, and freight claims are all areas where AI can reduce manual work and speed things up. But there's a consistent warning here. Data quality matters. If the data going into these systems isn't accurate, the output won't be either. And in logistics, where every shipment can be a little different, human oversight is still critical. Stepping back for a moment, there's a bigger shift happening across the industry. AI is no longer being treated as a side project. It's becoming part of the core infrastructure of how companies operate. Ashley Furniture is a good example of this. They've been investing in data and machine learning for years, and now AI is being used across nearly every part of the business, from supply chain planning and forecasting to factory automation and even talent management. They expect to see more meaningful results this year, with a bigger breakthrough coming next year. And their approach is interesting. They're not just looking at other furniture companies for guidance. They're studying companies like Amazon and Walmart, where AI is already deeply embedded. The takeaway is that the competitive advantage isn't just about having AI tools. It's about how well you integrate them into your workflows and how clean and structured your data is. At the same time, there's a sense of urgency. Companies that fall behind in AI adoption could find themselves at a real disadvantage, especially as newer AI-native businesses enter the market without legacy systems slowing them down. Now, while all of this innovation is happening, the industry is still dealing with some very real external pressures. The ongoing conflict in the Middle East is creating uncertainty in global shipping. There's concern about disruptions to key trade routes like the Suez Canal, which could tighten capacity and drive up costs. Oil prices are already rising, and that's starting to affect materials. Paints, finishes, foam, and packaging materials are all seeing potential increases, some in the double-digit range. Those costs could start showing up in product pricing as soon as this spring. That puts manufacturers and retailers in a tough spot. Do you absorb the costs or pass them along? On the demand side, consumers are still spending, but they're more selective. Retail sales ticked up slightly in February, but unit sales were down. That tells you prices are playing a role. Consumers are still willing to spend when they see value or emotional benefit, but in categories like furniture, they're more likely to delay purchases if they're unsure. Housing affordability is also part of the equation. With a typical family needing about a third of their income to cover a mortgage, there's less room for discretionary spending. Finally, a couple of quick business updates to round things out. Bob's Discount Furniture reported strong performance in its first earnings release as a public company, with revenue and income both up. They're planning to open about 20 new stores this year, which shows continued confidence in their growth strategy. On the other side, American Mattress has moved from Chapter 11 to Chapter 7 bankruptcy, signaling a shift toward liquidation after failing to establish a viable path forward. And in manufacturing, Jonathan Lewis is acquiring Styleline, expanding its domestic footprint and adding capacity in Mississippi. So, a lot happening right now. AI is clearly reshaping how the industry operates, but it's happening alongside rising costs, shifting consumer behavior, and ongoing uncertainty in the global supply chain. The companies that seem to be getting it right are the ones taking a balanced approach, using AI to solve real problems, staying disciplined with their data, and keeping people at the center of the process. That's all for today. If you're finding these updates helpful, be sure to subscribe so you can stay on top of what's happening across the furniture industry.